So if you obviously can't tell, today's topic is cash reparations for African Americans. So basically the debate is should the U.S. federal government or state governments in some capacity recompense African Americans for whatever reasons will be discussed here, or is this like not something that the government should do for whatever reasons, which will be discussed here. For this topic, I explicitly sought out to Black people to talk about it because it feels a little bit weird to have like men debating abortion or white people debating reparations, or, so I thought it would be a little bit more, I don't know if I would say tasteful. That sounds a little bit strange, but like a little bit more appropriate maybe to have two people discussing this topic that are actually like intimately affected by it. Because for me personally, and as most of the votes have come in, I will reveal that for me personally, I am almost undecided on this. I lean very, very, very slightly in favor of it based on what I've heard so far, but my position on that could be very easily moved in one way or another. As an introduction to this and to make sure that we understand what's going on, the way that this show works is basically I bring on two people to have a discussion/argument relating to a certain topic. I'm only here to do moderation. And when I say moderation, what I mean is that if I feel like the two people have exhausted a topic or aren't responding to or hitting each other's points well, I'll just kind of step in and say, I think he's trying to say this, we should respond to that, or we should move on from that. If people scream or shout at each other, I'm not really here to intervene there. I'm just trying to make sure that the argument stays on like a good course and that we're responding to each other's points well. We have at the bottom left our wonderful friend Trihex here, okay? Super Smash Brothers player, Mario Maker player, and all-around cool dude. And then on the right, we have one of our wonderful participants from the Georgia Canvassing Stuff, our politics/philosophy streamer / rage debater on Twitch, Irrelevant. So you two are going to take it away. I think that for this, we'll probably start, I guess, lightly with the affirmative. Trags can state why he thinks it would be important to have cash reparations, and then Irrelevant, you can respond, and then we'll just kind of like follow the conversation like that, and I'll make sure the two of you guys kind of stay on point. Go for it.
Good.
Hey. All right. Well, first, I appreciate being introduced as a masturbator. I don't know if that was really the ultimate criteria that I qualify to be introduced as Destiny, but regardless, though, I guess we can move on from there.
Sure. Go for
it. So you want to go ahead and start in here with whether or not we support or oppose?
Yeah, so just for Triax, you think that cash reparations ought to be paid to the descendants of slaves in the United States. Why? What's like your first point for that, I guess?
Yeah, sure. So the first point for that is just, I guess we can go over here, just the acknowledgement that we need to do a course correction on all of the historical wrongs and oppression that's been inflicted upon Black people in the United States here for several centuries. Something needs to be done about it here, and the everlasting effects that have been like inflicted and endured by Black people are shown with the grotesque wealth inequality, socioeconomic factors that lead to disadvantages for many Black people all around here. Whether you look at discrimination, criminal justice enforcement, employment opportunities, and just open discrimination. So yeah, there's a lot we can look into to start to acknowledge that being the reality of what it is, and how reparations can be the start of the healing process from that point. Okay. I can go further here if you need me to, but I figure I want to like.
I think that's pretty good for me personally to be able to jump off of. I agree with pretty much everything that you said. However, the point of disagreement is probably that I don't think that direct cash reparations actually helps almost any of what you said there, almost at all. I would find that what would probably help significantly more would be investing in Black businesses or investing inside of Black schools, specifically, like instead of direct cash in hand, it would be more of infrastructure or the environment around Black people's, like the climate that Black people live in. One of the reasons why I would cite the necessity for a more systemic or environmental all-around fix rather than direct cash reparations would be like citing rich Black people and how they still face systemic discrimination and things like that. So even if we were to, let's say, give
Can we
Black
stop
people
him?
each $1 million,
Somebody stop this.
it would make their lives.
Nobody gonna say nothing about this. Everybody quiet. Somebody gonna stop this shit.
John, I would actually like for you to lead us off. Go, sir.
What the fuck? I mean, let no lead. Like,
My bad,
yo,
John. My bad.
can't nobody is stopping this. Like, yo, this pain. Like, he was like, yo, I believe in investments. Now, we already broke these arguments down. Wow, that shit doesn't work. You know what I mean? Like, feel like we need to invest in black institutions. Our institutions are weak. You know what I mean? Like, we don't really have no black institutions because, you know what I mean, the majority of us don't have no fucking money. You
We
know what I
think
mean?
the
So, like,
NAACP is gonna save us.
yeah, like, we need to give more money to NAACP, HBCUs, black school system, and build infrastructure that everybody benefits from. And this is how this, you know what I mean, this is going to fix us.
Yeah, I think a lot of us. This is where we were 3, 4, 5 years ago. You know what I mean? Yeah, and you know, I'm a firm believer that a lot of people need grace, but I don't think it's hard to find people anymore that understand this a little bit deeper, especially after Dr. Derry's book is published. So I think you could find people. Maybe I guess he's maybe looking for gamers because that's who's in his space. That may be what it is. But this is weird. All right, Sam, what you got?
What I mainly have is just most of these arguments, like we said, are kind of old. Like, I don't really have a problem with dude because he's saying what most black people say. Well, not most black people, but like black people who haven't read anything and don't know anything. But like we already said, if you read What We Get Wrong About Closing the Racial Wealth Gap, you see that like investing in like education or giving people home loans or like none of that stuff is going to close the racial wealth gap.
Mm-hmm.
So I think once you're educated on that, then you have to start figuring out like what does. And then you're like, oh, cash. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's kind of it.
I've often said, you know, how do you close a wealth gap that's supposed to be that's a gap of money? The only way to close that is with money. You know what I mean? It's like
excuse me, white people. From now on, I am taking your inheritance and I'm going to pay you with free college. and I'm going to fix that elementary school for your baby. Oh, you don't have kids? Oh, well, sorry. Neighborhood. So it's good for your property value.
That's wild, Sam. That is completely unfair, Sam.
No, it's not. That's what they tell us.
Yeah,
that's
I
what they
know.
tell us. So,
but that jab that hurt my ribs.
Yeah, that's it hurt me too. I'm like, damn, god damn. You pay property taxes no more?
I guess we've been on a break. Hey, we went on a break. Sam came out swinging. God damn. All right. Thank you, Sam. Bud, talk to him, man. Talk to him.
Shit, I don't even know how to follow that shit.
Yeah,
like she said it all. Like, god damn. I mean, the only other part I would break down is like this idea that it's going to like correct systematic racism going forward. Like he kind of ended on that note, and it's like, nah, we're talking about fixing the harms that have already been done and having protections, and then moving forward, we're still going to have to deal with racism. Like it may not fix that part, but we're trying to get to a point where, you know, we're not still in a hole. Like we have resources to actually fight that fight. So, you know, that's basically it.
All right, appreciate it, Mud. I guess we got to continue with this painful thing. Sorry, John. Let's go, Sam.
Black people each $1 million apiece, it would make their lives substantially better, but it still wouldn't solve a lot of the problems that might cause, for instance, their children or what have you, to be able to incur a lot of economic or societal stress.
But if we're going to agree about the severity of how bad it currently is for the most oppressed, I was going to say one of the most oppressed classifications of citizenship in USA as African Americans, then I'd say time is all the essence here. And I'm not entirely opposed to, in a similar parallel to the pandemic right now, getting that relief as immediately as possible. You know, right. even taking, because for example, I'm sorry, forgive me, let me just do one more thing here. For example, here, if we entertain strictly community investment, and we're talking about like, I don't know, logistical oversight and what could be 1 to 4 years before we see tangible implementation in certain areas, that is one high school student's entire high school curriculum, where they weren't even able to do that. And just having the additional money to be able to kind of like make things happen, I think we can make a pretty big modern what's the word here? Modern application into the parallels of COVID right now.
Because I don't want to start off by sounding like I'm gonna be like fuck the kids. So that's not what I'm saying. but what I'm saying is, how about no. So I'm just saying.
You need Jesus.
No. I just don't want people to take it that way. I said I don't want people to take it that way. But what I am saying is, how about you make an investment in schools, because this is America and we're supposed to be the richest country in the world and we want our citizens to be competitive globally.
Exactly.
Don't give that to me because I'm Black. Give that to me because I'm American. Pay me my reparations cash, because that's a debt that you owe me. But don't fix up the Black schools so the white people gentrify my neighborhood and push me the fuck out of it. Because that school gonna still be there and they ass gonna be living there. And you're not gonna do another program for where they move me to.
Right.
God damn.
Am I lying?
No, not at all.
No.
Man, that's what we get for taking a break. Damn, we get punched in the mouth every time Sam over the mouth.
I'm saying.
All right, Sam, let's ride. I'm sorry, Mud, you got something?
No, go ahead. She said it.
John, anything, John?
You good, John?
Good. Nothing from
Stop
me.
picking on us, Sam. We trying to keep up, damn it.
No, not at all. Hey, John can reiterate, like how John be talking about, just because it's free don't mean it's good.
Oh yeah.
Facts.
Word up. That's what I'm saying. That's why free college is bullshit, because I mean, like, as of now, because it's like you still got to get into them schools. Like, you still got to be ready to go to college. Like, and the majority of our schools don't prepare our kids to go to fucking school. You know what I mean? Like, period. So you still got to get into school, even if it's free. You still got to get into school, and it's still racist ass systems is not gonna allow you to get in these fucking schools. Like, the fuck are you talking? Like, I don't understand like I understand. Like, I know that the Black people that did go to school, they deserve to get shit, whatever like that. But man, come on, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, nah, man. You still got to get into them schools. You still have to motherfucking be able to sustain yourself while you in school, like Sam always talk about. It's still all types of facts to this shit. So you just because you erase the 20% of the people that did go to school in our community, they still in debt. That don't like. I mean, it would help, yeah, but it's not. It's putting the band-aid on our problem. It's bullshit. So that's how I feel about that.
These are facts, John. These are facts.
All day. All right, I'm gonna get it going.
Getting more COVID relief 9 months ago, if it were even for just like a monthly UBI implementation, just to like get the relief we need to people as quickly as possible, because we understood the severity of COVID at that time, with this disruption to the economy and everything else here, would have made probably a lot of difference for a lot of people involved, and probably would have resulted in definitively less death. And the same way here, getting that immediate monetary relief to Black people, if we're admitting here the level of oppression is currently going on in this country for them, would also lead to definitively less suffering, possibly.
Okay, I don't disagree with anything that you just said for the most part at all. I only have a few questions to be able to springboard off of that. What if, let's entertain an idea wherein which Black people were not ever like slaves or even systemically oppressed? Would you still advocate for, but they had the similar economic conditions to what they have right now?
Because I'm an asshole. Shut up. We are not doing whataboutisms. We are not doing whataboutisms. And the answer is no. The answer is no.
I'm the asshole for this show, damn it.
No, I'm just saying. The answer is no, bruh. Now, should we do something because people are Americans and this is the richest country in the world? And should we fix the floor for everybody? Yes. But that has nothing to do with Black Americans who descend from United States chattel slavery reparations. Period.
Would you still advocate for similar policy to what you just described for that group of people?
Would I advocate for African Americans to get reparations if they were not in the poverty state they're currently in right now?
Well, technically, It wouldn't necessarily be reparations, but would you still, advocate for similar economic policy to what you're describing if they had not gone through any kind of like systemic racism or anything like that.
So a relevance question is basically, let's say that there was a group of...
If I'm interpreting this correctly here.
Wait, I'm sorry, real quick. What a relevance question is that he's saying is that if there was some minority group in the United States that currently had the same like socioeconomic status as African Americans, would you be giving the exact same prescription for them as you are now for African Americans? Is there a difference? Like, does African Americans' history in the United States of slavery like have any special bearing here? Is essentially the question.
Right. So that's what I'm getting right there with that one. So the thing there is we have to agree here that the oppression African Americans feel in this country does stem ultimately from the byproducts of slavery being enforced. Slavery, sure. 3/5 Human Clause, electoral college enforcement, paywalls, being able to vote, paywalls to be able to have legal protections that the white folks had comparatively as well, and all the civil rights movements, the suffrage, the discrimination, and the cultural reinforced bigotry, and I would argue the non-normalization of Black success here. I think all of that stems from slavery, and therefore it's that is intrinsic to justifying reparations and the cash relief for Black people. If other minorities are in a similar boat, like on a socioeconomic factor, and they didn't go through that, it contextually requires for me to say, is it directly related to, American policy? Because that's the whole thing. Like, United States had slavery for 80 something years before it was amended.
Let's assume that it wasn't due to directly American policy, that they were just economically destitute for not. I don't know what reason I could give that isn't necessarily economic.
Maybe. Thank you. Somebody stop this. Stop the pain.
Save me, Sam.
Yo, Sam, somebody stop the pain. MG, Mud, I know you hear the pain. I feel the pain. Stop it.
He is missing the entire fucking point, right? The point is American policy fucked us over more than anybody else, save perhaps maybe the Native Americans, and based on their numbers and our numbers, I know they're kind of skewed by all kinds of horrible shit. There is no comparison. Absolutely no comparison. Not to say those fights are lesser, not to say those fights are less important, not to say those fights are not important to have, right? But there is no comparison to any other group, outside of Native Americans, to any other group. Not even close.
I wouldn't even make the comparison of the natives, because there's been attempts to try to work this shit out along the way. If the treaties made, some have not been honored, but some have, and money's been paid out. A lot of shit has been done to try to, correct shit as far as with the natives. We have not been given that grace.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's wild to me that people. Never mind. We're trying to give these folks grace because they haven't been steeped in this stuff like we have. Probably neither one of them have ever heard of Dr. Sandy Darity, and we're gonna just keep pushing and give them a little room to breathe. At least we're gonna try.
We're gonna let you live.
Yeah, for now.
We're gonna let you live, but
seek you out later.
But I don't like the whataboutisms, right? So reparations is a debt that is owed. Wealth redistribution is some shit that should happen because we're Americans, and we shouldn't have 40 million Americans who are out of work right now. We shouldn't have the level of homelessness that we have. We shouldn't have 80% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck. So that's why wealth redistribution should happen, because we're Americans and we live in the richest country in the world. But reparations is a debt that is owed, and that's why it should be paid cash. All this fixing the neighborhood. And what happens if I'm one of the few Black people who managed to muster up enough? I'm still poor. I just happen to move into a decent ass neighborhood. I still live paycheck to paycheck. If I lose my job, I can lose everything. But I just managed to get my kids into a somewhat decent neighborhood. My kids don't get shit because I happen to scrape enough, and we still one paycheck away from losing everything. Nah, that's not how any of this works, because that's not how you do any other group. So quit trying to play us. Go ahead and run me my money. I like that idea. White people keep telling me they could just do a tax credit and they could do $80,000 a year for 10 years. I like that idea. That doesn't hurt my feelings at all. Thank you.
Me either.
So we could have some conversations about how to do it, but that's a real easy way to do it without y'all being in y'all feelings. Y'all won't even notice.
These are facts. They would notice because black people may be in their neighborhood. They can't have that. But
the thing about it is, but will we? Sorry, MG, I'm sorry because I hate to cut you off. But will we? This is the thing, right? if you give 36 million black people 80,000 a year, don't you think some of them are going to want to go and build their own communities? They might want to go live together. Like, contrary to popular belief, white people, you know, sometimes living with y'all is stressful because y'all don't really necessarily want us around. And we feel that shit.
Sam, I'm going to demand right now that you cut that common sense shit out.
Ooh.
All right? Quit being smart and logical and shit. Cut that shit out.
Tell the truth and shame the devil. So it's not like, you know what I mean? It's not like we're going to be like trying to overrun your neighborhoods and come and live with y'all. A lot of people who actually have a little bit of something left in the hood are probably going to try to fix the hood. Like they're going to fix up their houses. They're going to do some, you know, because that if the bank know you get a guaranteed 80,000 a year, they might give you a construction loan on your house so you can get some work done. Like there's just other shit that opens up to you when you have access to capital. Yep, which y'all know because y'all got it.
See, but Sam,
I used to watch those fixer-up shows. Y'all used to make me sick. I couldn't even watch TV.
We are talking about race in America. You cannot apply logic. You cannot apply fairness. None of that stuff. You need to cut that shit out, Sam, or John's going to push you.
Hey, Sam, get this shit too real. Hey, but at the end of the day, though, but motherfucking on one for real. Like this is bullshit. Like I mean, like this dude, I don't like to answer this dude question. This shit. This dude asked the question like, "Yo, what if slavery and nothing like that ever happened, and you were still in the same social economic position? Would you ask for nigga? No, because no. I would ask for wealth redistribution because the reason why we at the bottom is because of slavery and Jim Crow and all the shit that you said never happened. You feel me? Or did happen? I'd be like, no. So then like real says no, because the thing about it is like, I mean, when you do that, like, I mean, what he's talking about is he's trying to really, this is what aboutism. He's like, I'm not denying nothing that happened to y'all. I'm not denying that. I agree. But what if it didn't happen? But nigga, we wouldn't be here fighting you, motherfucker. What are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about? Like, none of this shit happened. We'd be asking, nigga, of course we wouldn't be asking for reparations, but it happened to us. That's why we need repair.
Absolutely.
So I guess we can finish playing the last of this clip.
I don't know what reason I could give that isn't necessarily economic. Maybe they just, I have no idea what I could possibly give. Perhaps discrimination from other groups online could put them inside of a depressive state. Maybe social pressure or social discrimination, not so much as a result of the government, but more as a result of the populace that.
So feelings, okay.
Fill the government. And they were economically destitute as a result.
I do support reparations or the cash injections for black people because I can easily link that back to being they are where they are right now due to the byproducts that have resulted from slavery and after slavery, civil rights movements, etc. For other groups comparatively, reparations specifically, if they didn't go through like, you know, an American specific reinforcement of oppression, no. But I do support systems that would help them get out of that similar socioeconomic factor. I don't think any individual minority or group should be at the level of poverty we're currently seeing experienced by like the bottom, whatever, half of the country, much less the bottom 10% of the country on an income level.
Okay. Then what kind of special, so let's assume you have a black person and another minority, this minority that we previously talked about that was not systemically discriminated against. What special advantages or perks would you give the black person as a result of your reparations argument or your direct cash more specifically, because that's the point of contention? The direct cash benefits would you give the black person that you wouldn't give the other minority individual?
Just kind of a curious.
I can detail that further if you'd like to, but
kind of curious for this conversation. So I think something else that Irrelevant is getting at. So let's say that black people in the United States, or more specifically African Americans in the United States, were like occupying the same strata, the same economic areas as white people. Let's say that there was a similar percentage of African American and white people in poverty, in middle class and upper class.
God, I'm waiting for Brandy to jump out and start just singing "What About," like, because it's all I hear is "What About" this whole argument. So we were talking about cash reparations for African Americans, but what we're really talking about is a fantasy world where Black and white people have the same amount of money, and we would figure out how to fix Mexicans. I get it. And I say Mexicans because I live in Los Angeles, and that's who's around me the most when it comes to minorities. Don't give me no shit. And those are probably the ones I fuck with the most. Them and El Salvadorians. Yeah. All right. So yeah, but this is all whataboutisms. Like, I would, you know what? To be honest, I might have rather have had the conversation with white people. It might have been more entertaining.
I'm saying.
You know, but okay. All right. Let's finish the last few seconds, I guess.
Class. Let's say that it was more or less the exact same. If that was the case, would you support reparations for African Americans, or would you be opposed to it at that point?
Hey, yo, come on, y'all know what come on, man. What the fuck is like? What is he doing? Like, what is he doing? Like, yo, they basically are trying to make up a fantasy world where it was like, yo, real shit. Slavery never happened. Jim Crow never happened. Redline never happened. Lynching never happened. Mass incarceration never happened. This never happened. And they say that never happened. Would you be asking for repair? You feel me? Like, no, because that never happened. We asking for repair because of that. Like, what the fuck? What? Like, these are fucking intellectuals. This shit is fucking, come on, man. Y'all see this shit?
The thing is that I expected from a white person to say that shit, but when you're looking at a Black person saying this shit, it's just like, what the fuck? And then the fact that he's trying to be intellectual about it, like, yeah, like, matter of fact, like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, like, how did you end up like this? That's what I want to know. I don't even want to ask about reparations at that point. How did you end up like this? That's the question I want to answer.
Yeah, you got something, sis? The fuck?
Not that's relevant. not that's relative. Only stuff I have to say is very irrelevant. So I'm gonna eat that one, especially looking at our relevant. I'm wondering, I'm like, who your mama? Who your daddy? Who you? Who your grandparents? Where you from?
He did just say that they're Black. He never really went into whether or not they're descendants of American chattel slavery.
Exactly. And, you know, Black includes biracials. And don't at me, because, you know, I call you how you identify. So, you know, I got biracials in my life who identify as Black, and I got biracials in my life who identify as biracials. So you are as you identify, but depending on where you grew up and who raised you, you may have different views. So are you a Jordan Peele?
Where are we? Just be patient and I'll show you.
This is, and Destiny the Moderator. This is crazy to me. Like,
yo, we need to do that little 2-minute clip of when that Black dude said reparations to Jane Elliott. Jane Elliott was like, Native Americans!
Then first you have to pay off the Native Americans, whose land we took and whose homes we took and whose people we killed in the millions.
No, they got paid. They got paid.
We'll have
they have land.
Really?
The natives to get it first. They enslaved us though, but they lived here though, but they still enslaved us. No, I'm like, damn, Elliot.
We got to just get over this color of the skin thing. We should all just love each other, and you niggas still be broke. Oh my God, that's a hustle. Ooh, I'll never look at Jane Elliott the same. Not saying that takes away from her contribution and her work that she's done, but let me tell you, like we keep saying, you want to see who's really for Black people, start talking about reparations. Some of your favorite so-called anti-racists, when you start talking about reparations, them Klan hoods start dancing like Fantasia. Like just climbing up the back of y'all necks. I'm just saying. So y'all got to work on that. why do y'all hate the idea of Negroes getting money so much? Like, why does it hurt your soul? Like, I've never been that angry about white people getting money before in my life. Jesus. Like, y'all giving white people like reparations for opioids after you gave my uncle jail for like 30-something years. Like, I'm irritated, but I'm not like mad, like where I'm going on TV talking about why white people shouldn't get reparations for opioids. Like, I'm just saying.
Hey, this is MG from Reset Race. We're growing and so is our mission. Because of this, we're looking for volunteers to join our team. The skills we need most right now are researchers, video editors, and men and women to do voiceovers. If you're interested in helping out, go to actifypress.com/volunteer. Again, actifypress.com/volunteer. We hope to hear from you soon. Peace and justice from myself and the rest of the Reset Race crew.
Listening to Reset Race, you now tuned in to Reset Race. You're listening to Reset Race, you're now tuned in to Reset Race. What? Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them, put them back on the grill again. We grilling them, put them back on the grill again. We grilling them, back on the grill again. We grilling them, You're listening to Reset Race. ADOS need reparations to make America great. You're tuned in to Reset Race. We no longer starving while others eat off our plate. No. You're listening to Reset Race. We focused on our justice claim. We know what is at stake. You're tuned in to Reset Race. You'll find out who really about justice and really who fake. Lineage go back to U.S. Southern plantations. Penniage, Jim Crow, and mass incarceration. Redline and lynchings. We are old from this nation. You're not about justice if you ain't for reparations. MG the wise one. Cousin mother intellectual. Samantha bringing fire. Anti-black, we pressing you. No permanent friends and no permanent enemies. The backbone of the country. To win, you need our energy. You gon' see. Listening to Reset Race. You now tuned in to Reset Race. You're listening to Reset Race. You're now tuned in to Reset Race. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Back on the grill again. We grilling them. You're listening to Reset Race. ADOS need reparations to make America great. You're tuned in to Reset Race. We no longer starving while others eat off our plate. No. You're listening to Reset Race. We focused on our justice claim. We know what is at stake. You're tuned in to Reset Race. You'll find out who really about justice and really who fake.
Until you do right by me, everything you think about is gonna crumble.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. Now, this is what we are faced with. And this is a reality. Now, when we come to Washington in this campaign, we're coming to get our check.